Hello and welcome to the Practical Animal channel with me, John Beaumont. Today we talk with Sharon Matola, founding director of the Belize Zoo. Sharon is a published author. She has worked with harpy eagles, jaguars, tapirs, and other native flagship species from Belize. She's also done a TED talk. A fan of the late, great Gerald Durrell, she is an advocate of the value of zoos for conservation and education. In this video, we discuss her work with harpy eagles, problem jaguars, education, and how to be successful in the zoo world. So, Sharon, welcome to the Practical Animal channel.
Well, thank you for inviting me, John. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your time. Sharon, you are a very active zoo professional. I see input from you all the time on the Neotropical Raptors listserv, in the literature, and you feature prominently in a book that I read recently, which was Jaguar by Alan Rubinowitz. The Belize Zoo website features many of your endeavors with the native flagship animals of Belize. You are the founding director of the Belize Zoo. How did you get to where you are today?
That's a very good question, John. When I got to Belize, of course, there was no zoo, and I have no zoo background. I was in charge of managing captive wildlife for documentary films. The documentary films that I was working on disbanded, and the filmmaker, great guy he was called to Borneo to work on other films, and he just left me with these animals and said, give away what you can. Well, impossible. You cannot take a habituated wild animal who's used to getting fed and cared for by a person and turn them out into the wild. It's death knell. So I thought, oh, wait a second. Now remember, I was young and not very tuned in to life's realities. I said, well, Belize doesn't have a zoo. I'll start one. And that's how it started. It got to be the success it is because I was totally dedicated into bringing the wildlife of Belize close to the people of Belize. It became very clear to me that they were clueless on the treasures that they had in these forests. No one had ever seen a jaguar. Tapirs were dangerous. They could skin you alive with their nose. Anteaters were dangerous because they could stick their tongue up a dog's nose and suck out its brains. Those types of stories, myths, were prevalent when I first got into this idea. And I fell in love with the country, I fell in love with the people, and I thought this is a great contribution to me with my life. That's really the roadmap that occurred that kept me here and fueled my commitment.
That's great. That's fascinating. I want to develop this. You're the director of the zoo. How would you describe your leadership style?
My leadership style is to be all inclusive. I talk with my staff daily. We have meetings daily. I value their opinion. I ask their opinion. I'm anything but a ruler. So I integrate myself into what they're doing. And as a result, I have such a dedicated and committed staff of employees. So I think I'm doing the right thing.
That's interesting. Thank you. And I'm dying to ask, what are the cultural differences, if any, between the USA and Belize?
Well, there are many cultural differences. Um, the people here have grown up and are used to a tropical climate. They're used to mosquitoes. They're used to things that I have found would not be tolerated in the United States. I mean, when we get visitors from the United States, they have to rush back to their car for air conditioning, or they're always walking around spraying themselves with insect repellent. They complain about the hardships of a tropical environment. Not all of them, mind you, but a good amount of people who are not used to living in the tropics will voice their opinion negatively. However, I have to say, when they come to the zoo, and the zoo is really a shady place now, they kind of forget about those nasty things, and they get into the uh, environment of seeing the animals of their country, of this country, up close and personal, and that erases any downfalls that they may have come with. In fact, we have a visitor's book where they can comment, and you can go through the visitor's book and maybe one or two too many mosquitoes, but all the other comments are quite favorable. So it's all what you get used to and all what grabs your attention.
That's great, thank you. Sharon, what is the Belize Zoo's mission?
The Belize Zoo's mission is to bring the animals of Belize close to the people of Belize so that a bond of compassion is formed. And I'm sure people have heard this before. To protect something, you have to understand it, you have to love it, you have to know it. How can you do that if you never are in contact with these animals? So the mission is to provide a future for the animals in the wild by creating a rescue zoo. We do not take animals out of the wild. Every animal has a story. Every animal has a juncture in its life where it would have probably died had it not been rescued by the balloon with a very positive. And we carry that on with our visitors. And the mission is to make them feel proud that some of the animals that are living in this country are extinct in other parts of Central America. So what they have is special. It's special and beloved, protected.
That's great. The Belize Zoo has a number of ambassador animals and projects. Please, can you talk about the Belize Harpy Eagle Restoration Program?
One of my favorite programs. I was instrumental in seeing that come to Belize. And harpy eagles, in some of the literature, are considered to be extinct in Central America. That's not quite true, but there are very, very few left. It's one of the species of the 4 largest eagles in the whole world. And I will say they can look fearsome. But we obtained 2. Panama could not be released into the wild through this captive breeding program because when he hatched, his left eye was damaged. And it's not a good idea to put a damaged animal back into the wild. So consequently, he was given to the zoo and he's become a symbol. He has birthday parties, he has his own song. He is used to people. He flies close down to meet people and greet people when they come by. The female we have is very, very incredibly large. Female raptors are usually larger than the males. She was part of the release program, which was put forward by the Peregrine Fund. but she didn't do well in the wild. She kept coming back to the release station, and it became dangerous for her. She was swooping down on people and scaring people, and to be honest, it was only a amount of time to consider that she probably would be hurt. So she was taken out of the wild after ample experience for her to join in with her wild co-partners, her wild co-species. And she now lives side by side with Panama, and they thrill our visitors. I mean, how many people in Belize ever get to actually see one of these magnificent eagles? So their role is amplified. Their role is well defined.
And can you tell us about the Jaguar Rehabilitation Programme, please?
That's a program I'm very, very proud of. Sometimes jaguars will turn from eating normal prey like deer, peccary, armadillo, and they will prey upon cattle, sheep, chickens, and they're noted as problem jaguars. Well, they were being shot with the approval of government, and I approached government with the theme that please don't shoot them. We can capture them safely and provide them with a home here at the zoo. We'll train them to become amicable jaguars to people, which is not hard to do. And so people will get the opportunity to get eye to eye, paw to paw with a jaguar. And it's a life-changing experience, which is hard to explain unless you're here. But so rather than kill the animal, they become ambassadors. They become representatives of their species in the wild. And it's been very, very successful. In fact, one of our former captive jaguars, who was a problem jaguar, Junior Buddy, his picture is now on the cover of a textbook of a biology text. He's been on the cover of the phone book. He's had many articles written about him. So, in other words, you cannot discount the value of these animals. They share their beauty and their purpose as top predators with all of our visitors. And I've seen it with my own eyes, what an incredible impression it makes.
Junior Buddy, I read on the website, didn't Junior Buddy unfortunately die?
Could you please repeat that?
Yes, certainly. Didn't Junior Buddy, I read on the website, didn't he die, Junior Buddy?
He died in December. He died young. An autopsy or necropsy told us that he had a congenital heart malfunction. In other words, he was not ever in good shape. And we did know that because we had a basic policy. Whenever we had vet schools here, they could not tranquilize Junior Buddy. It would be too risky. But his congenital heart condition did catch up with him. So what did we do I mean, he had thousands of fans. He was remarkably beloved by everybody who met him. He's still mentioned quite often. I took a good look at our other problem jaguars and decided to work with a problem jaguar named Lindo. Lindo was a cattle killer. And Lindo, to me, showed incredible potential to be a wonderful ambassador. Guess what? He really is. He loves his training. He comes up to the encounter cage just like Junior used to do. He rolls over 3 times. That boy can count. He gives a high five 3 times, and then he jumps on the top of the cage, and anyone in there can scratch his belly. He loves that. And then when he hears, okay, okay, Lindo, get down. Lindo jumps off and then comes back. And people are completely astonished by the character and the charisma of Lindo. So we still mention Junior Buddy. He's in a recent guidebook to the Belize Zoo. We're not ever going to erase him from the zoo because of the impact he had on jaguar conservation. But fortunately, another jaguar has come in to take his place and is doing a tremendous job.
That's fantastic news. Excellent. Education is obviously a key role of the Belize Zoo. Please, can you talk about the Belize Zoo Summer Teachers Institute?
Our education program has always been a priority. At this point in time, we get over 13,000 school children every year into the zoo. And they're given a program from our education officer. They have handouts. They learn about the important role that animals play. And funny enough, we see them returning to the zoo with their families. So we know that being at the zoo in a class stays with them, and it permeates out into their family life, their friends. They think it's cool and they want to share it. So I cannot speak enough about education and the value it plays in molding a person's thinking and seeing that impact happen and stay and remain and blossom for future generations.
Can you tell us about your book, Hoodwink the Owl?
Yeah. Hoodwink the Owl is a series of 3 children's books. When I first started the zoo, there would be 3 days the zoo was open, 3 days. And if I got 2 people in those 3 days, I was very happy. I spent one day going out to a school. At that time, I didn't even have a slide projector. I had pictures. And that's when I would be inviting the schools to come to the zoo. I would say, can somebody draw me a picture of a tiger, your national animal? And what they would draw something that looked like it crawled out of a cave on Mars. They had no idea. So now now you don't find that anymore. Virtually every school comes to the Belize Zoo on an organized education program.
Can you talk about the Mesoamerican biological corridor and how that links to the work of the Belize Zoo?
Well, we're very active in corridor programs because just a piece of forest is not enough to maintain and sustain an animal population. Animals move, they roam, and we play a prominent role in the Mesoamerican biological corridor. In fact, the late, great Alan Rabinowitz worked closely with the Belize Zoo on jaguar issues focused on the corridor. So, in other words, if the area is protected all the way from Mexico down into South America, and you can educate people about the importance of that protection, you can maintain a corridor. But the secret, again, is having the communities, having the people agree with what you're doing. Do they want to see this land protected, or do they want to see it destroyed? And that's a key factor in the work that we do. And one of our main priorities is to draw attention to the people that we educate about the important role biological diversity plays in their lives. So we're not talking about a minor thing here. This is huge. And I'm still very confident and very encouraged that what the zoo is doing will have an everlasting impact on the condition and the future of the important biodiversity in Mesoamerica.
Thank you. Sharon, you've described your career path. Is it possible for someone to follow the same career path and get to where you are today?
I strongly believe in that. In fact, I work with some, people in Belize, kids who, in fact, some of them have worked at the zoo or they've been here on a summer program, and they've become involved, engaged, and dedicated to wildlife conservation. So I have seen that happen. No one has ever refused an opportunity to come here and empower their thinking, empower their knowledge. And as a result, it just kind of stems out. It blossoms into another world, and a world that is their world. They're in charge, but they got their definite top-notch introduction. They got their introduction to wildlife education, to wildlife preservation and conservation right here. And one of the biggest supporters of the Belize Zoo is our Minister of the Environment, who actually was aligned with the zoo a few years ago. And as a result, he obtained his PhD in jaguar biology, and now he's a minister. So how can you not recognize the important role that this institution has played? It's hard work, and sometimes the rewards are hard to see, but definitely it's a very necessary and a very logical and a very dedicated part of the Belize cultural environment to preserve the natural resources of this country.
That's absolutely inspiring. What does someone need to do to be an excellent zookeeper?
Let me tell you something. The cultural differences between Belize and zookeeping, say in the United States. In the United States, I know that you must have a 4-year degree from any college, from a college, to get a job as a zookeeper. 4 years. Here at the Belize Zoo, we give anyone who wants a job here, we look at the passion that they have, the feelings that they have for their natural resources. Some of them come from farms. A few of them haven't gone any further in education than, whatever is readily available on the lowest level of education, but they're eager to learn. We send them away for training. We have zookeeping professionals come here and do training. So their background is steadily built up, and they always know that the zoo is proud of them, and that is reflected in how they perform their job. I'm really proud of all my staff, very proud.
That's great. I wanted to move on to the possibility of a volunteer program. Would you be able to receive British volunteers? Would you meet them and greet them at the airport? Do they have somebody to go to? What kind of work would they be doing? Is there accommodation? These kind of questions. Are you able to accommodate overseas volunteers?
That's a very good question. Yeah, we do. I wouldn't call them volunteers. There's a program, an intern program. We have had quite a few from the UK. There is a place to stay. It's very reasonably priced, but we have to charge something because they eat food. They stay in these beautiful accommodations. They become partners with our zookeepers. They learn a tremendous amount, and some of them go on to use the experience here to further their animal care careers, sometimes in the UK or sometimes in the university level. So it's been very successful and something that we encourage, and I believe it is on our website about the intern program. It's all under the direction of our education program office.
That's interesting. That's great. Thank you, Sharon. What do you think of the value and usefulness of stud books in zoos?
Stud books.
Yes.
Stud books?
Yes.
Well, I think any record keeping is important. I want to share this with you. We had a couple of zoo professionals come here and they wanted to see our records. Where was this cat born? Where did the monkeys come from? Where A, B, C, D? And at the end of the day, they said, we are so impressed. Some of the zoos that we have visited in the United States don't keep as meticulous records as you do. And we have one zookeeper, a lovely woman who is in charge of record keeping, and she is so vigilant about keeping it current and accurate. So I think there's great value in record keeping, stud books included. We have sent animals to other zoos for breeding. I believe in keeping a healthy gene population going and lively in captivity. You never know, are we ever going to be able to release these animals into the wild? Well, we can't think about it unless there's a healthy genetic gene pool in captivity. So I'm very, very much in favor of that.
My second to last question, Sharon. What's the most endangered animal you have at the zoo?
Well, clearly the harpy eagles are right up there. You cannot see a harpy eagle in the wild unless you are with someone who stumbled upon a nest. The only harpy eagles I've ever seen in the wild was in Panama. Harpy eagles, I would rate number one, but you know, tapirs, the Central American tapir is very, very endangered, the national animal of Belize. And biologically, they're incredibly useful. They're the forest gardeners. When they poop, that poop doesn't stay in one place. The seeds will grow. So in other words, where that tapir ate and where it poops is integral in the growth of a tropical forest. So there are little details like that that happen in tropical biology that we learn about as we go along. And if you took away the tapirs, you would really see the forest in decline within short time. I think you can say that about every animal that we have here. They play a role, and that role is defined by the biology of the animal, but also if we protect the animal, we have a healthier environment for people. This is not totally about animal protection. It's about the well-being of the human population as well.
Interesting. Very good. And finally, do you have anything else you would like to add, Sharon?
Well, I appreciate the interest that we've had a long time from the UK. I was inspired by Gerald Durrell, who of course had Jersey Zoo in the island of Jersey. Two of my keepers have gone through a training program there. We have a close bond with the Jersey Zoo, still do. It's now the Durrell Conservation Trust. I just would like to add that from all the relationships that we have established, I have an incredible, huge amount of respect and admiration for the interest shown by people in the UK to support and become involved in the Belize Zoo, and I love that.
That's great. I really enjoyed those comments that you made about Gerald Durrell's zoo. I can remember being totally inspired by his books and his work as a youth and as a young man. Sharon, thank you very much for being on the Practical Animal channel.
John, thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
You're very welcome. Thanks very much indeed.